Let's take you to Mpumalanga now, and we speak to journalist Sizwe Sama Yende, who has covered stories on David Mabuza for many years. Sizwe, good evening to you. Thank you very much for your time. How do you think Mpumalanga is reacting to the passing of David Mabuza tonight?
Good evening, Toli. No, the reaction, it has been shock. I've been receiving calls this afternoon, and many calls, people trying to confirm it, if it was true or not. So it was really unexpected because a few months ago, he appeared in social media. He was attending a funeral of his father, if I'm not mistaken. He looked very healthy and fit.
You're saying that he would have been attending the funeral of his father. When did this happen?
I think it was about a month or two ago, if I'm not mistaken. And then those pictures came up. I mean, obviously, he was not seen anywhere. He has been underground, hibernating. But he appeared on social media around that time, and he looked really fit. And people are these days were beginning to talk about him as well. Even last week, they were talking about him, about his possible comeback, and so on.
Yeah. Really, it talks to why this has come as a shock. As you say, he looked fit, and the attendance of his father's funeral, on the back of that, people would have seen a figure that they would not have thought would pass away so quickly. Let's reflect on his legacy in Mpumalanga. Yeah. He led that province for a very long time, Sizwe. We have been reflecting in studio here about the period of the so-called Premier League, and these were chairpersons of the ANC in Mpumalanga, led by him, David Mabuza, Northwest Province, Supra Maumapilo, the Free State, Ace Magashule. Talk to us about that period and how, in your coverage of the ANC politics in Mpumalanga, what that produced, given his long time leading that province.
Yeah, I think people underestimated him a lot for a very long time, because when he was elected the deputy president of the country, nobody believed it. And you referred to the Premier League. Yeah. The Premier League, when you were talking to people around, they thought Paul Mashatile was the brains behind the Premier League. He was the one who was leading it, while in fact it was David Mabuza himself. Yeah, he's his legacy. It's good and bad, like his character. Nobody understood him. To some people, he was the best politician, the best human being, but to other people, he was just a villain. So even through his political work, I think he left people with not really having one idea about him, but two ideas, the bad and the good. Yeah. I think his legacy in Mpumalanga, most of the people will tell you that his government was the most corrupt government we could ever think of. But on the other hand, you find those people in the ANC who were supporting him, saying he was the best leader they ever had, so that's what, in short, that's what sums up.
You are trying to come to a conversation that we're all reluctant to talk about, particularly at a time like this. This is still very fresh, and people will say there's a time and place for everything. But this was a political figure, and therefore we've got to look at him from all facets. There was a time when political killings was the subject matter in Mpumalanga for the longest time, Sizwe. And you were among the people that I probably would have interacted with as a working journalist in the field at that time. Talk to us about that period and why it is that David Mabuza loomed large, particularly around that narrative of political killings.
Yeah, exactly. You see, up to now, nothing sticks or rather links him to the political killings. But they were raised, I think those killings and those matters were raised during his time as a premier of this province. And I think his fault was that he didn't deal decisively as a leader when those allegations cropped up during that time. But it didn't help the fact that he was also personally linked to them as well. But the way he responded to them left a lot to be desired. Even today, there are people who are still saying, we need him to come and explain to us what really happened. For instance, not so long ago, I was speaking to the widow of Semi Mpahlanyana, who told me that, look, the deputy president told me that he knows about the killers or who killed my husband at that particular time. He said he was going to speak at the right time. So basically, she was challenging David Mabuza to come out and speak, and as he promised. So he left the matter hanging. And up to today, people are still asking themselves what really happened. Was he involved? Was he not involved? Why didn't he do enough? Why didn't he condemn these killings as harshly and strongly as he could, as he possibly could?
Yeah.
So
And
yeah.
and you remember this so correctly because you talk about Sem Patlanyane. This would have been someone that I spoke to as well. And remember that particular conversation. I think you may have been part of that media briefing, Sizwe, when he promised that one day, the day will come. I'm almost trying to enact my voice in his own when he said those ominous words that one day he will explain all of what has been said about political killings in Mpumalanga. Did that day ever come?
No, it didn't come. And he said those words publicly. I can say that privately to me, he said it maybe 3 or 4 times. He said, one day I will talk and people will be shocked. That day didn't come at all. So now that he has left, it means we're going to be left with questions and no answers.
Yeah. And the controversies just didn't seem to go away up until he moved away from provincial politics, Sizwe. Let's conclude the
Yeah.
conversation with James Nkambule. This is someone,
Yes.
a former ANC Youth League member, who famously alleged at one point that there was a plot to oust former President Thabo Mbeki. Talk to us about that period and whether David Mabuza would have featured here at all, or this would have been the period when Matthew Sposa was leader and premier of the province.
No, at that time when James made those allegations, David Mabuza didn't feature at all. He was still in the background. He was still patiently working his way up. He was known for being very patient. He stayed as a deputy chairperson of the ANC in the province for 15 years before he made it known that he had ambitions of being the premier, of being the chairperson of the ANC in the province. So at that time, no, he was still in the background. The way his character was that he was doing his things quietly. Even now, since he stepped down as the deputy president of the country, most people were worried that why is he so quiet? If he's quiet, it means he's cooking something very big behind the scenes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. He operated like that figure very quietly in the background and boom, a surprise. Let's end the conversation, Sizwe, with the Mpumalanga ANC. I did attempt to get them to talk to us tonight, and they were saying that they're going to defer, at least for tonight, to the national ANC and indeed the presidency at the government level. How do you think the leadership of the ANC in Mpumalanga is digesting this news tonight?
Yeah, it's a tough one. It's a tough one for them. Obviously, losing somebody, whether he was your friend or your enemy or your rival, in Black people's culture, everybody just mourn the death of that person, and you wouldn't want to dredge up a lot of bad things about that person during this time. I think that's the approach of the ANC in the province at the moment. I know that in the top leadership of the ANC in this province, there are people really they were not getting along well. They have never got along well. But I think they will try as much as possible to give him a dignified send off, because really they wouldn't want to be seen to be kicking a man when he's down.
Yeah, yeah. Final throwaway. I promise I'm letting you go. Did you ever get a chance to go to Barberton at the farm? All of us were joking here as journalists that we've never seen Barberton, but Barberton was always this place where he would go and hibernate. I think that's the word you used earlier.
Yeah.
Did you ever go there?
Yeah, but believe it or not, and contrary to popular belief around, I think people thought that Didi was the cat, I was the dog, or he was the dog, or I was the cat. In fact, yes, we had differences. He was a politician, I was a journalist, so he didn't like really what I was reporting about. But I've met him a couple of times. I've been to Barberton once. I've been to the official residence maybe twice. He will give me that time to engage with him, but there should be somebody beside me, of course, because I remember the last interview I had with him, I was still working for City Press. The editor of City Press had to be there to accompany me because he wouldn't really give me an interview alone.
I wonder why that is. I wonder why that is. You have to explain very quickly, Sizwe. Why would he give you an interview alone?
I do not understand. I really did not understand, and I didn't even get a chance to ask him really why don't you want to give me an interview? Why don't you want to sit with me and give me an interview like all other journalists?
Yeah.
But that was it. I ended up accepting it.
Yeah. That's a life of a journalist at times. You just have to give it up. Thank you very much, Sizwe Sama Yende.